He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. That makes us Mac and Mac here on Birds 365. In case you just streamed on in, a little bit of a historic show for us today. 500th episode of Birds 365, which is had mostly Mac and Mac. I missed a couple shows. Johnny Mac has Eagle responsibilities. So it's not the two of us every single day, but it is for most of the days. And we appreciate everybody who streams in. If you appreciate us, we can tell you to hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe. Be nice. We could get a little love from you guys, but we do appreciate the fact that you stream it every single day. Hopefully you're here for the next 5 shows. I'm committed for the next 5 shows. How about you? You got more than that as of right now? We'll see. Hopefully another 500 coming your way over the next couple of years. Thank Brendan Lee Gouton for hopping on board. I asked him the question, so let me put it to you as well. Eagles have their choice of any rusher not named Will Anderson. Len Zerline or whoever it was who said that the kid from Texas Tech could go number 1. I think that would be nuts. If you want to talk about the Eagles trading up, if Anderson comes, Carter goes high, the kid from Texas Tech goes high. If Anderson drops down to number 6, I'm uber aggressive. I'm Howie Roseman. I'm going getting Will Anderson. There's no doubt in my mind that that's the player I want. We've gone back and forth about who's the most talented player. Where does PJ Robinson? And if Carter drops, well, give me Anderson because I think he may be the most talented. And he's got no red flags attached to him. If you can get him, you're talking about value at number 6. If teams are foolish enough to move up to draft Will Levis and let Anderson slide, oh no, Howie Roseman, get uber aggressive. Go get him. I think that's got like close to 0% chance of happening. So that's why I asked the question the way I did. Anderson off the board. I'm assuming there aren't as many. You guys tried to tell me all last segment. There aren't as many stupid general managers as there used to be. Well, if Will Anderson falls to 6, there's still enough stupid general managers in the league. Taking Anderson off the board. Who's the D edge guy, DN, call him what you want, the pass rusher that you think the Philadelphia Eagles should be targeting?
Well, I think the better question is take them both off the board because it would be Tyree Wilson at that point, but neither is going to be on the board. So then I think is the more interesting question who number 3 is. I think that's the more interesting question. And then to me, it comes down to Lucas Van Ness or Nolan Smith. And then it becomes what kind of player do you want? Do you want more of the Josh Sweat type or maybe Brandon Graham's the better example, guy who can move inside, play outside. That would be Van Ness. Or do you want the more Hassan Reddick type who's just explosive, undersized, off the edge, and that would be Nolan Smith. It's an interesting question. Smith is, I think, the safer pick. I think Van Ness would be the ceiling pick. I would take Nolan Smith in that instance. And again, Tyree Wilson for me is off the board. That's not even he's not lasting to 10. And neither is Will. So both of those guys are off the board. And then I would take Nolan Smith before I would take Lucas Van Ness. At some point, though, Jody, a stiff wind's going to come by and blow this defense off the field. I mean, how many undersized guys can you have?
Thank you very much. That's exactly where I was going. I was going to go with there with Brandon, too, because he ran down the things that you thought of as positives for Smith and the things that you thought of as negatives for Smith. And he finally got to size. And he is an undersized defensive end. And if you are talking about, and you have to do that with the Eagles here because you've got the length of contract that you have for your pass rushing specialist edge player, undersized edge player. And I think you need to balance those two things. Do you want both of those guys on your edges? They're already small enough to begin with at the linebacker position. Now you're going to add an undersized defensive end. When you did it last year with Hassan Reddick, some people said, well, he's a linebacker. Well, no, he's not a linebacker. He's an edge player.
They're still saying that.
Exactly. They're still saying it. but he was undersized. And people weren't worried about him being undersized. Well, guess what? You didn't have to worry about him being undersized because he was so great at getting to the quarterback. Any issues you may have had with him in the run were outweighed by his ability to get to the quarterback. Now you're going to put a guy on the other side who plays the same exact way?
Yeah, by the way, why do everyone who were we talking to yesterday? It was Gil, our buddy Mike Gill. Does everyone forget Josh Sweat plays Josh Sweat is a pretty damn good player. Now 2 consecutive Pro Bowls for he is a good player. And then you have Brandon Graham as well. So they have plenty of depth at edge rusher, but they value the position. So for them, it's about whether you want to use that term luxury pick or not. I mean, if it's going to be the best player, they're going to always take an edge rusher. Because Brandon can't play forever. Hassan Reddick is either, he only signed for 3 years, so he's either going to get a big raise or he's going to be out of here if he declines, which I don't think he's declining at this stage of his career. They got to be thinking about the future as well. And edge rusher is important. And it's one of those, that's what we were talking about with BLG as well. The positional value is off the charts. But you brought up Tyree Wilson, 6'6", 275. I mean, he's the, the Hollywood casting edge rusher. And so is Josh Sweat, by the way. That's the guy they're going to cast in the movie. He fits all the measurables, the traits. Nolan Smith is Hassan Reddick. That's what he is. That's his upside, Hassan Reddick. And so there's some redundancy there as well. I don't know if you can put 2 of those players on the field. You can do it occasionally, right, but I don't know if you want to do it a lot. If it's 3rd and 15, knock yourself out. But I don't know if you can do it consistently.
And the guy that everybody seems to have as the next defensive lineman edge player, who I guess I like as a fit for the Eagles, I like Miles Murphy from Clemson better than I do Smith, just because of fit. I think they're very equal and equivalent type players. If I were to project who I think should have the better career, wouldn't be surprised if it was either one of them, one over the other, or the other over the first. I think they're close. But I actually think Murphy's a better fit with the Eagles because of Hassan Reddick, because you're saying it's kind of tough to put them both out there on the same side. And then all of a sudden, no, you're going to do it on 3rd down. Team decides to pull the ball down and go with a run. Now you're a little undersized on that defensive line, and you're going to be banking on those linebackers making the tackle just short of the line to gain for 1st down. Yeah, give me a little bit bigger guy. I try not to. I hate the fact when people say they can't do it just because of their weight. They are a certain height or they are a certain weight and they can't do it. And that does bug me. But I know it's the reason why people say it is it's based in some reality. That's why we have sports axioms that stick, because they're mostly based in reality. Yeah, I want a little bit of a bigger guy. If they're taking an edge guy, I want a bigger guy. I appreciate the dog in Smith, as Brandon Lee Gowton described them, but I think the Eagles need another big guy on the edge if they're going to get one.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and we've seen it with Devontae at wide receiver. But I think then people assume, well, Devontae proves he can do it. Oh, does he? I mean, he's a unicorn. He's not
different.
Yeah, or whether. Bryce Young turns into a superstar quarterback, or even Kyler Murray does down the road, doesn't mean everybody can. Most guys that size can't do it. And that's where, but you got to be open-minded enough to say, all right, this guy's so talented. He's different. And I think that's tough. That's a tough decision. That's always a tough decision.
And, of course, don't forget, Derek Barnett's still on the roster here with the Eagles. So they may not be looking to take an edge guy because they've already got 4 edge guys.
Well, that will not prevent them.
You don't think so? Yeah. How I know it comes down to percentages. What kind of percentage of snaps, assuming health, which is a little bit of a reach with Derek Barnett, but assuming health, what do you think his percentage of snaps is going to be this upcoming year?
Assuming they don't draft an edge rusher, assuming he's playing, he's part of the rotation, 25%.
You might be right, but I do think this. I think they're going to take an edge, whether it's the first round, second round, third round, whatever your edge, wherever they do decide to get their edge guy, and we'll have to do with who's on the board and value and everything else. Yeah, I think that guy's going to play more than Derek Barnett. Just a wild guess.
It depends where it is. If it's a second round pick, yeah, I'd agree. If it's a fourth round pick, they don't even have one. But again, if they trade for one, if it's a day 3 pick, I'll say no. So it depends where they get in this edge rusher. If it's a first round pick, it's 10th overall. No question, he's going to get cut.
Yeah,
he's going to get cut post June 1st. They'll try to trade him. Nobody will want to trade for him, and they'll cut him. If it's a day 3 pick, it's a different conversation.
Agreed. And I do think there's a good chance they're going to take an edge rusher with their first pick. If not, and we talked about this yesterday, Eagle fans, Eagle Nation, and again, me making suppositions on what people are saying as judged by the comments we're getting here on our stream and my Twitter and my WIP phone lines. Offensive line, Peter Skoronski in for a visit, Johnny Mac. And that's why I asked BLG the last question I asked. And man, did he hesitate. I thought he would give it some thought. Yeah, but then, it's going to be Cam Jurgens at right guard. He waited longer to say Jurgens than I thought he was going to. Yeah, I think people have just penned Jurgens in there. And if I had to put a bet on someone right now, Cam Jurgens or the field, I'd still put Cam Jurgens. But it's not 100%er. It's not just, it is Cam Jurgens. There's no other thought process involved. I think the Eagles are still open-minded, and if they take an offensive lineman at number 10 or 11 or 12, Howie trades down a little bit, that person's going to be counted on. We just went through it with Reddick. If the Eagles take an edge guy, he's going to start and Reddick's going to get cut. Well, I'm not saying Cam.
Not Reddick, Barnett. We got it. Not Reddick.
Did I say Reddick?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. I meant Derek Barnett.
People go nuts.
Reddick's going nowhere fast. But, I think they're going to be open-minded to who's going to let
at the 10, begin. If they take Peter Skoronski at number 10, he's the right guard. Yeah, it's interesting. Brandon brought up Broderick Jones. I haven't done as much work on him. I don't know if he's got any guard in his background. Paris Johnson does. If they take an offensive lineman at number 10, it's with the plan of being the longtime heir apparent to Lane Johnson, but to play right guard first. I don't think there's any doubt about it. If they take an offensive lineman at number 10, Cam's back to being waiting for Jason Kelsey to retire. That's my take on it. Now, if they don't, they go edge rusher, cornerback, whatever. And I think they're fine with Cam, but if you get one of those players at number 10 overall, that's a high level talent. They're going to be on the field quickly. Right. And if they're not, something went wrong. I'll say that.
Right. They had the luxury, yes, I choose that word carefully, of sitting Jurgens all last year because they didn't have to play him. They were perfectly fine with the guys who were starting, and they will again be at center this year with Kelsey coming back for another season. So, they'd like to get Jurgens, but they took Jurgens knowing he wasn't going to have to step in year number 1, and he didn't. And they could do that because he was a second-round pick. First-round pick, top half of the first-round pick, expectations are a little bit different. You cannot look at that. As good a season as the Eagles had, and we know best record in the NFC, one play away from winning a championship. Still, you got a pick in the first half of the first round. That guy's expected to step in and play. So if they go offensive line, yeah, I think that player will be expected to be the Eagles' right guard. They did have Peter Skoronski in, who would be a guy who certainly could fill that role. And they had Joey Porter in as well, DB from Penn State. You think there's any chance he falls down to number 30?
A little bit, but I doubt he'd go that far. The people value that position now. Corner is one of those. It's quarterback, it's edge rusher, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, corner. Corner's in that equation. So, it's a deep corner draft. So that will push him down a little bit, probably mid first round. But I would be very surprised if he fell that far. But remember, NFL teams have more information than we do. So, just because all the draft people think he's, should be in this position, doesn't necessarily mean he is. But from everything I hear, I would be very surprised if he fell that far.
Maybe wishful thinking that because I think when they got the two corners done, it took the corner out as a high probability. Again, Eagles will do this. They will take the best available player on the board.
Yeah, they'll take a corner. Slay's 32. For all the talk about his contract, it's a 2-year contract. They could move on after 1 year, to be honest. Bradbury's going to turn 30. They know they did. That's one of the reasons Greedy Williams is here as a lottery ticket. They know they have to start thinking about that position long term as well. If they like a corner, they'll take a corner. It's not going to prevent them. Okay. Now, it'll be a luxury pick. They won't expect him to play right away.
Right. Well, which one is it? We both just said you can't take a luxury pick at 10. Now you're saying they can take a luxury pick at 10 if it's a corner.
No, I didn't say you can't take a luxury pick. I said on offensive line, he's starting at right guard. Those guys, Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson. I don't know as much about the kid from Georgia, but those two particular players, and I don't think Paris is going to be there. So it's really Skoronski. If they take Skoronski, he's playing right guard early, and he's the heir apparent to Lane Johnson. Everything's dependent on position. If they take a corner, because they like the corner. And I don't think, if it's Christian Gonzalez you're talking about at that point, Witherspoon potentially, they're not going to play as much. They'll play a little bit. They'll try to mix them in. If they have some slot versatility, we know Avonte Maddox injury history. They'll play a little bit because of the position, but it's different.
Will it be an offensive player or will it be a defensive player that the Eagles take? We'll discuss that with a guy who knows a little bit about the Eagle defense. He played it for years. He's been talking about it for years as well, and certainly does so each and every single week on the Eagles postgame show here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Seth Joyner up next here with us on Birds 365.